common, common to all the Buddhist schools. For example, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, for everybody accepts, like a common to all of them, there are 6 consciousnesses. Okay? 6 consciousnesses. And the 6 consciousnesses are all kind of related with 6 faculties. We have faculties, right? So all connected with our body. For example, eye consciousness. Eye consciousness is related with, connected with the eye faculty, eye organ. Because when eye organ and the object, maybe let's say the form, right? Some kind of shape or form or color. When these two meet together, then it generates eye consciousness. Similarly, sound and ear generates ear consciousness, and the tongue and so forth, up to like a 6th one. 6th one is the mental consciousness. Mental consciousness is the most important one actually, because the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, all of these will not exist anymore when we leave our body, when we die. But the mental consciousness still continues. This is common to all the Buddhist schools. Okay? However, when we go to the Mahayana, then it's a little bit more profound. So Mahayana will say that up to this point, that up to 6 consciousness is the same. We all share the same thing, right? So that's why the 6th one, commonly speaking, they also say that what continues from this life to the next, what came from previous life is our 6th consciousness. 6th consciousness never changed, okay? It came with whatever it is equipped with at that time. There are some good qualities or bad qualities depending on how you did it in your previous life, right? It's a shared kind of thing. It's common to both Theravadins and the Mahayanas. However, when you come to the Mahayana itself, exclusively with the Mahayana idea, then the Mahayana will further expand on the 6th one, 6th consciousness. The 6th consciousness can further divide into 2 more categories. Because then you can say the 6th consciousness is now divided by means of gross, right, aspect of it, and then mediocre, like a not so gross, yet still is not refined in the middle, and then very finest one. The very gross one is the mental consciousness, 6th mental consciousness. And according to Mahayana, it says it doesn't continue, it did not come from previous. It is still connected with the body organ, okay, body cavity. So it stops there, it will not continue. Even maybe when we are sleeping, what goes on is not the gross mental consciousness. Okay? And then, so it also stops where when we die, it doesn't continue. What continues is the other aspect. So now in the middle, there's the call, again, the 6th consciousness, the general name for that in Tibetan is Yiki Nampashepa, those who are following, name, Yiki Nampashepa. Nampashepa is the consciousness, right? So Yiki Nampashepa, the mental consciousness. And so Mahayana further kind of develops on this Yiki Nampashepa or the mental consciousness. 2 more. One is called New Mung Yi or New Yi, short form is New Mung Yi, which is defiled consciousness, or defiled mental consciousness, defiled mental consciousness. That's the seventh one. And then the eighth one is called Guixin. Guixin Namxie, okay? So that is called all-base consciousness. Gunxi in Tibetan, Gunxi, which means the basis for all, foundation of all. So whichever you call it, that's Guixi, and that is consciousness. But actually it is the very subtle aspect of the mental consciousness. And so what really continues from this life to the next, and what came from previous is this one, the alaya. So it's Sanskrit for that is alaya vijnana. So then translation into English is all-base consciousness, or foundation, the consciousness of foundation for all. And Tibetan word for it, Guixin Nagashepa, Guixin Nagashepa, okay? And the middle one, the defiled mental consciousness. So there is this, I'm not very sure, but also nobody really determined it. The nature of that, the seventh one, is looking at that seventh one. Its job, its work is it's looking at this eighth consciousness as its object, looking at the Guixin Nagashepa as its object, and then thinking that it's me. That is me. So that is like non-zimba, meaning then grasping it as the I. But this defiled consciousness, New Mung Yi, okay, whether it continues even when we are sleeping is not yet determined. I don't have the answer for it. So it's the homework for everybody to check whether it is there or not. Definitely the Yi Nagashepa or the mental consciousness does not exist. It constructs when we are sleeping. But this seventh one is still question mark. The eighth one continues. Okay, what makes us not dead? For example, even when we sometimes become unconscious for some time. And of course, getting out from the sleep, very deep sleep, and all of those, what makes us like alive again is because the alaya, Guixin Nagashepa, is continuing. And then also, another thing, why this particular consciousness is called Guixin Nagashepa, Tibetan term for that, Guixin Nagashepa, right? Because it is the base, it is the foundation for all, meaning, because we always talk about, karma, right? What is karma? What does it mean? Karma means sometimes we do have a little bit of idea of if something happens to us, we easily say, it's karma. Means something that we have done. When we have done, we don't know. But yeah, let's say we have done something. But since then, where was that? Whatever that, that thing that we have already accumulated, where is that? It has to have some place, right? That's the Guixin Nagashepa. So that's why it's called all-base, the foundation for all. So everything we can dump in that, good, bad, neutral, right? Because sometimes the people do not really have a very good understanding we talk about karma all the time. But karma is not a fancy word. It's not something mystical thing. It's not something kind of a Buddhist, terminology that is technical. No, it's not. It's just a simple word. Karma means, something you have done, something I did. So that means there's the good karma, the bad karma, and the neutral karma. There's nothing in our life that is not karma. For example, right now you guys are listening to me. Also you are creating karma every moment. And where is that creation goes in? Its effect. I'm not talking about the whole thing goes in. Its effect, its residue or the seed that we are, every moment we are accumulating. It has to have somewhere to go, right? It's going into this called Kunshina Prashiva. The all-based consciousness is there. We are storing everything there. So luckily, this seed or the residue or the whatever, the effect or the potential, maybe some kind of potential, it doesn't have the physical form. Otherwise, this whole universe is not going to be big enough to host it, right? So since it doesn't have a form, so therefore, we have no problem like that. How can this Kunshi Namshi, all-based consciousness, accommodate all of this, right? Okay? So this Kunshi Namshi, this mind, which is coming from previous life to today's our life, and it will go on from here to next. That is Kunshi Namshi. And if that Kunshi Namshi, if you are kind of curious about what it is just the luminosity. So you can imagine like our mind, when we think of mind has no form, no color. So, but there is this luminosity. There's that, because it's not dark, right? When we think about the mind, it's not dark. Even when we close our eyes, but think about the mind, the consciousness, there's the brightness, there's this luminosity, right? So that is the alaya, or the all-based consciousness, and it's not the original consciousness, the alaya vijnana, is never tainted. It's not like a leaning on any extremes. It's neither its original nature is neither positive nor negative, but it is neutral. Why it is neutral? Because it is the basis for all, right? It has to accommodate everything. It doesn't discriminate. So this is a kind of a welcoming treasury kind of a place, okay, where all our karmic seed or potential goes in. And from this, then it is now generating fruits, or it's coming into being as a result, good, bad, So, the reason why I explain this is because then when we say like tame our mind, we have to work on our mind, we have to make ourselves better, means this mind we are talking about. When this mind, the main mind, this is the main mind, how do we make this main mind better? Okay, main mind itself cannot be like made into something, you cannot change it, but this main mind can be manipulated. The main mind is, as I told you, it's the welcoming everything in it. So that's why we have all these different kinds of chaitas, chitta, chaita, remember? There's a chitta is the main mind, and according to mind there are 8 of them. And now comes to the Chaita, the secondary mind, that there are many. Okay, of course, actually thinking about it, there's no really counting the countless, but it can be categorized. So that's why, according to Buddhist psychology, Mayan Buddhist psychology, this Chaita or the secondary mind altogether is 51. Everything can be subsumed into 51 different kinds of secondary minds. And according to Theravada, particularly following the Abhidharma Kosha, this secondary mind, Tibetan Senjung, can be subsumed into 49 different kinds of secondary minds. And these 49 different kinds of secondary minds are everything, like a good mind, that means virtuous mind, non-virtuous mind, and neutral mind. Okay? Right? So these secondary minds are changing the main mind. So that's why tame your mind means work on generating these good, virtuous secondary minds, as many as you can. Okay? For example, the secondary minds, like what? Like a positive secondary mind or the virtuous secondary mind, like what? Virtuous secondary mind is like loving, kindness, compassion, generosity, right? All of these are secondary minds. So when you develop more of this, then your main mind will become compassionate, loving mind, generous mind. That's how you become generous. Okay? But if you go with the wrong way, with the negative mind, negative secondary minds, if you give chance for these negative secondary minds to be born, you accommodate them, then of course your main mind will also be tainted, will be changed, will be what you call it, convoluted by means of these negative minds, and then main mind become agitated, angry, right? And also stingy, and all of those negative things. So that's why I'm giving you the reason why, how Buddha said you tame your mind. How can I tame? How can I tame my mind? What mind am I talking about? What is this mind that I should be taming myself? Right? And if I do think that this is important, but how do I do? In what way? And then the way of doing that is like generating more of these secondary minds, positive secondary minds, and also be careful not to give rise to negative secondary minds, such as like anger, desire, jealousy, and all of those things, right? So when you give rise to them, and so much that your main mind will be also then completely influenced by this. So that's why when you have these some ideas, then you can work on. For example, let's say you have to check yourself, you have to evaluate yourself, right? What kind of mind do I have right now? How is mind this alaya vijnana or the kunshi namshe or the all-based consciousness right now? What is this? What is the state of this mind? Is this mind something very like a fuzzy kind of calm and generous, and because some people already have from the beginning very giving, generous, right? The reason is because that person has worked very hard on the secondary mind to develop. And so that's why your set of the mind you already have this main mind is already like a, generous, because you have no problem with that. But if you find that yourself like I cannot let go of things, I have this kind of attachment to something, then work on that by be generous, right? Be kind of train yourself and let go, and then you can check next time. Now, whether this time your all-based consciousness is a little bit easier or not, right? So same thing, all the problems, all the mental problems, the tension, everything is due to these secondary minds. These secondary minds are not with us all the time. They goes and comes, right? And so therefore, through the practice, through the discipline, then what we can do, when we have the right and we have the ability to do is to, work on stopping the negative or non-virtuous secondary minds to arise, and work very hard on developing the virtuous secondary minds to arise. So that includes like wisdom is one of those, right? So when you give rise to wisdom, then the negative side, the opposite side is the ignorance. It will diminish. This is like that, Similarly, when you give rise to a generosity, right, generous mind, so which means you are giving rise to the secondary mind that is called generosity. And then that generosity, secondary mind, influences the main mind, and the main mind becomes very generous. And then when you are generous, when your mind is really in a state of generosity, then stinginess will automatically calm down, or maybe get rid of that. All right? So all of those things are like that. So we can work on our own but we have to educate ourselves first. Because you cannot just say pray to some kind of Buddhist deities, Manjushri, or even powerful like Vajrapani, things like that. No, they will not do it for you. It doesn't work that way. You have to do it yourself. When you are set with doing it for yourself, you have the mind, you have the courage and a determination, and then all the deities, you name it, starting with our English, or you can say it's our, the Bodhisattva compassion, all of them will support you, right? They are there to, as a moral support, but they are not there to work for you. It doesn't work that way. And the nature does not allow. Otherwise, they will gladly do it. They will gladly take all the negatives of your doing, on their own. However, that doesn't work that way. So you have to do it yourself, and when you do it, when you are on the path and doing it correctly, rightly,